There's a whole slew of people who feel most comfortable flipping through a magazine and reading what they're supposed to be wearing right now, what color lipstick or what color nail polish or what hemline. But I feel most inspired by the people who would never even look at that and just make their own choices. I grew up in Highland, Illinois. I had a very picturesque childhood. I lay in bed with my 2-year-old and tell him stories of when I was a little girl, and it sounds so like magical. After I moved to California, I started modeling, and it was very fun and exciting, but really sort of dark. I was 6 foot tall and weighed 128 pounds, and would go into the agency to check in, and they would just sort of look at you and tell you that you look good, but you really need to lose more weight. Go to the gym for 3-4 hours and live on coffee and cigarettes. And once I remember I'd been really sick, and I hadn't been into the agency, and I went in to, like, I don't know, pick up cards or something. They were like, "Wow, you look amazing." And I like literally just came off my deathbed. And I remember one day, like, I'd been at home visiting my mom, and she was just kind of like, "Why are you doing that? Why don't you do something with all of your creativity?" And I just remember thinking, like, she's a pretty good moral compass, you know, if she's been saying this for this many years, maybe she's right. This is the Jesse Kamm button-back tunic, designed based on my passion for wearing everything backwards. The ring we had made for our engagement, but we based it on a deco ring, and the stone was in Lucas's father's family for 6 generations, and it survived the Holocaust. So It's got a lot of history. And this piece I found like 6 years ago in Pasadena. I hand print all of the textiles that go in the fabrics, and they're all of my original designs, so that makes it this very sort of artistic, handmade operation in an attempt to sort of, again, lower our sort of global impact and work in a sort of socially and environmentally sustainable way. But not that we're like set out to be a green label, that's just how I live my life, and same with my husband, and that's just sort of what it ends up being. We just always did things a little differently. My mom cooked all macrobiotic foods, and my dad built this incredible modern house. He learned how to build out of reading library books, and he just built this house, and it was really modern for where we grew up, and people were always like, "What's that weird house you live in?" But it was designed to be passively solar, so that it was sort of low impact. And we've got 2 of these vintage Mercedes, and they both run on recycled vegetable oil. You collect it like dumpster divers from behind restaurants. We grow our own organic food. We just, like, you know, live really simply in that way. We had been in Panama, and we'd been down there for 4 months building a house and surfing, and I was working on drawings for the next collection, and then I found out I was pregnant. And I had this intense voice in my head to retreat, like, go away, get like in a cave. And we rented a house in a little cabin in the woods outside of Austin, Texas. And for 8 months, I just hid in this cabin and like figured that out. This whole year was to sort of move my son forward, like every day. Like my whole life was committed to just like his growth. So much of my time I just spent sort of like, I would wear him in this pack and I would just walk and tell him about the world. The thing that I've learned in my life is to really honor the gut and honor that voice, because every time I don't, I end up doing something that makes me feel really bad. And I think for the last 6 years I've had this sort of, ever since I stopped modeling, I've had this very strong voice, like, don't do things that make you feel bad. That's sort of touching on that individuality, like really being so sure about what it is that makes you happy in the world, like, and just doing that, and tuning out all the people that say no. I find that most inspiring.